Okay, good morning. We're starting with Kufza Design, Seif Dalid. Just a quick recap just for clarification. Again, if a woman needs to go to the mikveh on Friday night, so according to the minhag of the Sfardim, it's 100% fine, no questions. Even if she could have gone earlier in the week and it turns out she wants to go Friday night, it's not a problem. Okay, right? Anytime you go Friday night, you just go to um, anytime you need to go Friday night, you take care of bathing and chafifa and all that, which we will discuss later on Erev Shabbos. However, if her Leil Tevilah was during the week, and she could have gone during the week, but for whatever reason it got pushed off till Friday night. So that for the Sephardim, it's not a problem. That's the minhag. By Ashkenazim, I'll just leave it as ask your Rav, because there are slightly different opinions, and depends on the minhag. So, um, right, we'll just leave it at that. Depends on the minhag and the situation. So, and then as far as using the towel, again, it's not a problem. Even though she goes to the mikvah, that is one of the issues of not going to swimming, mainly by Ashkenazim, not swimming on Shabbos. So the issue is using a towel, or really the bigger issue is the hair. Schita on Shabbos by hair, so that's an Isser Derabanan. But what's the real Isser of schita with a towel, with the hair? It's if your hair is wet, and you take your hand or an item and you squeeze out your hair, and from the hair comes water. So that's schita with the hair. That's Asr Derabanan. Using a towel, so many poskim, including Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, it's quoted saying it's for sure not a problem. You're allowed to dry your hair with a towel. That's not called schita, goes to the ibud, it's wasted. It's not a ma'aseh schita, it's just drying your hair using a towel, and the towel's not going to get wet enough now that you're going to squeeze out the towel. That's not an issue. But there are poskim, Ben Ish Chai, and others who will say you should pat dry your hair so that even with a towel, like almost like tiltil begufo type of thing. Indirectly, you're not even coming close to schita. Again, so some recommend that, but that's fine. We will discuss a bit more or a lot more how to deal with Friday night, but let's wait till we get to Kuf Sadi Tet. Fine. Let's continue where we are, and then we'll finish this siman. We're on Dalid. The issue, right? So it's only the Rabbanan, but because that's a ma'aseh schita, you see water coming out of the hair. Now, hair, it's it's like plastic per se. It's not a cloth, a sponge that absorbs water. The water is on the hair, in between the hairs. There's no schita d'oraisa when it comes to hair, but that looks like. Got it. So that's right. So if your hair is so wet and you have a tiny towel and you're going to make the towel sopping wet, then that is a problem. But that's rarely the case. So, anyways, Lamai said there's no problem with drying yourself off when it's needed. So if it's a lil mitzvah, tevilah, whatever, then everyone agrees you go, generally speaking. But if it's not, if it got pushed off, so that's the machlokas or different minhagim among the Ashkenazim. So let's go back to Dalid. The issue that at hand over here is going during the day, right? We're supposed to, midarabanan, we need to go at nighttime. Sometimes it's daraisa has to be at night, but generally speaking, practically speaking, it's a darabanan issue. So Dalid. Heicha deika ones. Now, if there's an onus, kegon she's afraid to go at nighttime because it's too cold outside. A pachad ganavim, or it's dangerous. There's thieves, or worse, and it's dangerous to be outside. Anything like this where she can't go at nighttime. It's an onus, and she can't go. Even if she physically can go, but Lamai says she can't go. She's very uncomfortable to go at night. It's dangerous. Obviously, it has to be reasonable. Okay, onus. Osha Sogrin Sharia'ir. Or they're locking the city down and you can't get back in. So you can't go at night. She's not going to sleep out on the street outside the city where the mikvah is. So then, in such a case, Yechola litbol bashmini mi ba'od yom. So then, no choice. She has to go during the day. But she should wait to the 8th day. She shouldn't go on the 7th day. She should go on the 8th day. Aval b'shvi lo titbo mi ba'od yom. And on the 7th day, but not on the 7th day, af al gav de'ika ones. Even though there is an ones. Here, I'm going to make a caveat, but let me first finish reading the next seif. It goes together. Hey, im avra v'tavla. Now, what happens if she did go to the mikvah during the day? Bashmini bayom below ones. During the 8th day with no onus, she just went during the day. Afilu hachi, even so, hachi alta la tvila. The tvila did work, right? I mean, on a deraisa level, obviously it works. And even midarabanan, we say b'di eved, it works. She went. And it was after the 7th day, fine. V'chein im avra v'tavla b'shvi bayom alta la tvila. And then he says, actually, even on the 7th day, then it works, b'di'evid, and she does not need to go to the mikveh again. It's now the second one obviously is a bigger chiddush, and it's in two parts because some poskim, the Shach quotes the Bach, who say if it was on the 7th day, she actually should go back again, or she has to go back again. So the Shach's conclusion is Tov lahachmir heicha de efshar, that it's better when, if possible, for her to go back. If she went during the day on the 7th, and now she can go again on the nighttime, probably also on the, if it needs to be a day, then on the 8th day, it's better for her to go again. What's it called? I'm assuming not if she was already with her husband. That's a different situation. And so according to the Shulchan Aruch, there's no need to be machmer. Of course, you could be, and it may be better, but according to the Shach, it's more important to be machmer if you can. Okay. What did I want to point out? The Marasha is an interesting question. What if she can go during? I think he leaves it as he doesn't give an opinion. He raises an interesting question: which is better, the morning of the 8th or the late afternoon of the 7th? So there's different, different moving parts. The Pischei Tshuva points out she's not sure if she went in the morning or it was Beinish Mashot. So then he says there, even according to the Shach, I mean, at least that's his opinion, you do not need, let's quote the Chamudi Daniel, he does not need to go again, even according to the Chomer of the Shach. I don't know if the Shach would agree, but that's that. And I will point out there are many poskim. Let's say a woman, again, this it really is more a part of Seif Dalet, but ask your Rav, what happens if you live in a place and you cannot, and the Leil Mitzvah is, Leil Tevilah is Shabbos, Friday night, and you can't get there without driving, it's too far. Or if you tell people to go, some will walk, whatever, an hour, hour and a half, and some people are going to drive. Whatever the situation is. So then there are many poskim who allow her to go on Friday afternoon, even though it's the Yom HaShvi, but it should be in the afternoon, and preferably not come back home until after Shkia. Certainly not to have any kind of yichud, but anyways, that's the, leave that again for each case to be discussed. The Chachmas Adam writes that it might be mutter, that it is at least b'di'evid. I mean, it depends how you read the Chachmas Adam. If it sounds like it's better, maybe, again, it really depends on the situation. Maybe it's better to push it off till Friday, till the next day, I mean. But he says, but those who are mekel, it's fine. I think the Shevet HaLevi says it's mutter. The Chazon Ish wasn't so happy with it and said should wait. But anyways, Lamaisa, ask your Rav, and it depends on the situation. How to deal with the mikvahs far away on a Friday night. Fine, let's start. Siman Kuf Tzadi Chet. It'll take us probably a few days. 48 seifim on the Dinei Tevilah and Chatzitzah. Going to the mikveh, a separation, with having a separation between the body and the water. Aleph. Tzricha shetitbo kol gufa b'pa'am achas. So it's a halacha, maybe there's psukim involved, because there's a kasuv and halacha l'Moshe Messinai of the halacha, right? The Chatzitzah is a din deraisa, and the entire body needs to be immersed at the same time in order for the mikvah to work, for her to become tahora from being a niddah or a zava, whatever. Lefichach, tzarich shelo yeh alea shum davar achotzetz. There can't be anything on her that separates between her body and the water. Vafilu kol shehu, even a tiny bit. But we have to explain. Im derech b'nei adam lifamim lahakpid alav chotzetz. When is it a problem even for a kol shehu? It's if it's derech b'nei adam to sometimes for it to bother them that it's a chatzitzah, that they want to have it removed. Afilu im eina makperet aleha ata. Even if she herself doesn't care about it now, but it's even if it's a miut, right, less than the majority of the body, and it's a but other people it bothers them. Well, let me just clarify. I'll finish reading and then let me clarify what's the deraisa, what's the darabanan. Oh, afilu eina makperet alav. La'olam kevan shederech rov b'nei adam lahakpid alav chotzetz. So anything that's on the body that it never bothers her. She likes it on her. But for the majority of the people, it's normal for the people of the town that it bothers most people, and so therefore she's batel lagabe their das for this halacha. V'im hu chofe rovagov, afil ein derech ben adam lahakpid b'kach chotzetz. If it's attached to her, it's touching her body, it's preventing the water, and it's preventing most of her body from touching the water. Even if everyone likes it on their body and it doesn't bother them, it still is a chatzitza. Okay, so to clarify, the din Torah is in order for it to be a chatzitza, to prevent the Tevilah from making her tahara, it has to be where it bothers her. You want to have it. You usually want this item removed based on Rov B'nei Adam, and it is most of the body. It has to be most of the body and makpid in order for it to be a chatzitza deraisa. Midarabanan, though, either one is a chatzitza midarabanan, and one would have to go to the Tevilah, to the mikveh again. Even if it's the minority of the body, but it's your makpid on it. You don't want that there. It's dirt or something there that you don't want. Or vice versa, or it's something that's if it's most of the body, but you want it on you. It doesn't bother you in the slightest. And that not caring and not doesn't bother you, you mean? Not that doesn't bother you if it's on you. So I don't think okay, I don't want to say for sure. Yeah, unless I have sources to quote. I don't think it's an issue, but I don't think it's a problem. I don't think that's called makpid. It doesn't bother you at all. Mi'ut and nobody is makpid, then that's 100% mutter. Now, 100% mutter, min adin, even according to all opinions, min adin. However, read the Haga, lechatchila, as a chumra, lechatchila, lo titpol afilu bidvarim, there shouldn't be any kind of a chatzitza, she'enan chotzitzin, even if it's not really a chatzitza, gezera atu dvarim achotzitzim, because of gezera of things that are chotzitzim. In other words, lechatchila, we say don't wear anything, even if it's loose on you, even if it doesn't bother you, because, yeah, that's it. Just in order to avoid problems. So we take off everything, I think. Some women go with a wedding ring to the mikvah? Actually, I don't know. I've never been. I don't think so. You're right. So normally we remove all that. We remove nail polish and rings as far as I know. Yeah, mi'ikar adin. So the question is, do you fight with them or not? So I believe, when we get to this, or I'll come up with later on maybe a few examples of what they write about nowadays with certain things. Okay, fine. Bet Elu hadvarim shechotzitzim. These are the things that are chotzitzim. Chuteit samer. So any kind of strings from wool, the chutei pishtan and flax, or it's linen, or it's suot shekorchim behem se'ar barosh, lo titbo behem ad sheterafem, or they have these bands or something, little strings that they tie in the hair. So all these things, if it's tight, it's a chatzitzah, because they prevent water getting in between the hair, unless it's loose. So it's the araisa if you don't want them on your hair. If you want them in your hair because it's pretty, then it's only a din derabanan. Okay. But either way, we have to get, it doesn't really matter. I'm not sure if there's much of enough kamina, but we have to, it has only if it's loose, do we say it's fine, at least on a b'diavad case, do we say it's fine. But normally, right, we take everything off. V'im heim b'toch, right, going, okay. V'im heim b'toch kliyat se'ara eno moel behem rifyon. And if it's within braids of your hair, I guess if the string is loose, it doesn't really matter because it's tight by the braids of the hair. So then it's a problem. If it's anywhere else, just make sure it's loose so the water can get through, right? Normally we take everything off completely, right? That's the minhag, lechatchila. Fine, but here we're talking more mi'ikar adin. As long as you're wearing everything is loose, it's fine. Chutz mi'imhem kruchim betzavar she'enam chotzitzim. But these strings, if it's on the hair, it's tight. It's normally tight, so it's a problem. But if you wear these strings around your neck, we don't make it tight, so therefore it's loose. All right, by definition, it's always loose around the neck, so it's not a problem. Aval. But these collars or bands, I don't know, for decoration, I think. So they would wear them, they'd be a little bit wide and smooth, and they tie them around their neck. Those are chatzitzah mipnei shechoneket atzma bechozek, because those are tight. In fact, that's part of the purpose, is they make it tight on purpose. Kadei sheyeh b'sara bolet, in order to make the part of your skin bulge out. V'tira be'alat basar, in order so that she should look heavier, fatter. That's right. That was a sign of luxury and health. Mitoch, and it was right. And so then it was a good thing, and it was attractive. Umitoch sheharetzua chalaka, and since it's smooth, verachava, and wide, ena mazikta. It's not dangerous. It doesn't choke anyone. It's only choking if it's a thin little string and you tie it too tight. But if it's so big, then it doesn't choke the person, and so they make it tight, and therefore it is a chatzitzah. Okay, all right, but all these are general, the general principle for a lot of these halachas. It's the simple general principle that's the same, right? The minhag is lachatchila, we wear nothing, and b'di'evet, anything that water can get through and that's loose is not a problem. And fine. The Gimel, now, if there's strings though that the water can get through. Either the water can get under it, around it, or through it, whatever the case is. There's nets, but again, a netted clothing can be a problem if it's tight against the body. It just depends, if it's a loose net or not. Anyway, so whenever there's water can get through and it's loose, then again, it's no problem. Otherwise, it is a problem. No, it doesn't well, what do you mean supersede? If it's loose, then the water gets through and it's not a chatzitzah. The issues of makpid and rov is an issue if it's physically chotzetz, if it physically separates the body from the water. But anything, you can wear according to the halacha, mikar din, You can go in your thongs, you can go with your clothes, as long as, underwear has a tight band. So maybe if it's wet before you put it on, or you loosen it, get it wet, and then it might not be a chatzitz anymore. We're going to get into that later. But as long as your clothing is loose, certainly then, the undergarments might be tight, but generally speaking, as long as everything is loose, there's no problem. Okay. Dalit, chutei se'ar enam chotzitzim. So if you have, the strings of the hair are not chotzitz. Wait. Wait a second. Yeah. I think that means strings made out of hair. Strings made out of hair, your rights are not chotzitzim. Let's keep reading. Okay, so go to Taz. It's referring to some kind of a string you wear around, or a band you wear around your hair, and it's not tight, it's loose. So that's the case, okay? Whatever the case is. Then he says, but if it's gold, gilded, then they are chotzitzin, because because you don't want it to get dirty. The water is going to corrode it. You don't want water to be there. Hey, now, if you have two regular hairs, this is just two hairs, your two hairs, the woman's two hairs, whatever, whoever's going to the mikvah, they're in the head, right? If it's two of them that are tied together, but not, well, how do I explain that? It's on itself. It's two hairs together, tied together, not one against another. Like, it's not like two shoelaces. When you tie a shoelace together, it's really one hair to another. It's like one lace to another lace, and you tie it together, you make a knot. That is a problem. Here we're talking about it's two hairs together, and then it forms like a knot on itself. O yoter. In other words, the thickness of the knot is two hairs or more. Shehayu kshurim ke'echad, kesher echad einam chotzitzin. Because when it's two hairs or more together, it's not as tight as if you have one hair against another hair, or one hair on itself, knotted by itself. When it's one hair and it's tight, the water can't get through. But there's an assumption, if it's two hairs or more, then the water can slowly seep through between the hairs. Let's just finish the Haggah. Ve'ein chiluk bein im kashar shtei searot im shtei searot, or shekesher shtei searot b'fnei atzman. Doesn't matter if it's two against two, like two laces against two laces, or one, and then you tie it on its two together and you tie it on itself. V'se'ara achat shenikshera, but if it's one hair on itself is tied, chotzetzet, it is. But when is it a problem? Again, midoraisa, at least v'hu shetehei makpedet aleha, well, even midarabanan b'diavad, because it's mute. So it depends. This is a mute, right? It's one hair, so it's a minority of the body. V'hu shetehei makpedet aleha. The only way it's a problem, even midarabanan, the only way it's a problem is if she's makpid. It bothers her that she has this knot in her hair. But if she has lots of knots in her hair, she always goes around in knots and it never bothers her. So then that's called Eina Makpedet. I would assume it does bother women, but okay, ask a woman. But even if it doesn't bother you, but most of the hairs on your head are knotted, right? This is not going to be a normal case. Most of the strands of your hair are knotted one on itself. Each one is individually knotted each one by itself. And most of your head. So even though it's not makpid, but it's rove, and here you're looking at the head by itself, even though the whole body has no chatzitzah, but the hair itself can also be considered rove to make it a problem.